Hello.
This is incredible. It absolutely is. What does it mean having an artist of colour in Cornwall to have your work displayed?
Oh, words fail me. It's just like an incredible opportunity. I mean, it's one of those things that you never think will quite happen. So when I heard about the show and I got in touch with Abby, and she was really keen on my work, which actually wasn't even finished at the time, so she really had faith in me. I was like, well, I've got some work in progress. And she really liked it. So it was just such a fantastic opportunity.
How long have you been creating for?
All my life, over 30 years. I've been in Cornwall since 2009, so I've kind of been building up my ceramics. I specialise in raku ceramics, so I've kind of been building up my work and selling it through galleries. And then last year I got funding from the Arts Council. I got a Develop Your Creative Practice grant, which was amazing, like a sort of a dream come true, and it meant that I could like spend time just really developing this new work, and I didn't know where it was going to go. So it was just so fantastic to suddenly have a show that I could put the new work in. It was just brilliant.
That's really exciting. Yeah. And it's not just the artwork, is it, in terms of the physical displays? There's actually aspects of elements that come with this in terms of rituals and some of the other things that you offer. Can you just tell me a little bit about kind of what that might be?
Yeah, so recently I've been called to do sort of like more healing works. I've always worked with my own sort of like personal artwork has been quite therapeutic, and I've worked therapeutically with my art in the past. And I was asked by some friends last year to hold a grief ritual, and I experienced one many years ago with a woman called Sabonfu Some from the Dagara tribe in Burkina Faso in West Africa. Okay. And I'm half Ghanaian, so like that's kind of like the West African connection. And I felt really called to do that work. And so I've been working with the Ghanaian Adinkra symbols, which were originally used on funeral cloths, and they've all got different meanings. So they were always used in ceremonies. And in Ghana, they're kind of everywhere. But when you come out of Ghana or out into the diaspora, not many people know about them. So there's hundreds of them. They're really fascinating, and I'm absolutely obsessed with them. So that was kind of like the starting point, and I started making like the Adinkra stones, which I've got displayed there. And then again, I've kind of created them to be like messages, because they've all got different meanings. So they're like messages from the ancestors, and I think it's bringing that kind of that African ritual and tradition and the way of being, and kind of like combining it with my kind of like British kind of Celtic heritage, and kind of this is kind of how it emerges.
I mean, we see quite a lot of that, especially recently, where we're looking at kind of combining cultures, and really interestingly you mentioned about that kind of African Celtic culture. And in terms of what that can offer, particularly in Cornwall, I think it's really going to open up people's minds and perceptions of kind of what other cultures might look like and how they demonstrate and how they display. And actually, it'd be great to know that people are going to come and kind of take part in this and actually just see the expression of various cultures. And it's vitally important in Cornwall. What sort of impact do you hope this will have on people that come in and see the work?
I think I want it to open them up to other dimensions, if that makes sense. Yeah. But because I think one of the things that comes through with like African spirituality and a lot of kind of African traditional or sacred art is that real connection with nature, and I think I want people to connect with that, and I think that's one of the things where that crossover of being people who love Cornwall really connect with nature, and then you can kind of bring in that spiritual element. It's like, so what about the spirits of nature and the ocean goddess, and all those like wonderful energies to blend. So I really hope people kind of get a taste of that.
I think it's going to be fantastic. We've got the very much in terms of the history of Cornwall, we've got the pagan communities and the Wiccan communities, and it's going to be fantastic to just see how this intersectionality works through arts and culture. So I'm really excited to see what might come as a result of this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
How does it feel as an artist of colour having your work displayed, particularly here in Cornwall? How does that feel?
Well, I'm quite excited about it because I moved to Cornwall in 2012 and I really didn't expect my work to be shown in Cornwall in the Newlyn gallery and the Tate Centimes as well. so it's quite amazing. I'm excited about it because I love Cornwall. Moving to Cornwall was so exciting, but having your work being shown in these lovely spaces around the country is just, it's the icing on the cake, basically. And, yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you think exhibitions like this are going to have an impact on the people that come and view them?
Well, I think so. I mean, a lot of my paintings about where I grew up in London, Dalston, Hackney, and this one particularly is about Notting Hill Carnival, street music, going to see all people playing sound systems on the street. So I think a lot of people could relate to that, you know, music and things like that. I mean, I think music probably is bigger than as a sort of form of art in everyone's life compared to painting. I'm useless at music. So art, you know, I love art. So no, I think people will connect with the paintings because it's about things that happen every day in particularly when I was growing up, young people's life. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, good. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zeke, but is this your first installation?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
How does that feel, first and foremost?
It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Very rewarding. Yeah, I've heard some good things about it, and it's just lovely seeing people look at it and take it all in. It really means a lot, and it just warms my heart.
Well, I have to say this, having looked around the exhibition, which is great, this is absolutely one that resonates with me. And it took me a little while to process. I remember when I first moved to Cornwall, it took me about 4 years to see another person of colour. Yeah. And having come from Birmingham. And to come in and to see this, I think this is absolutely like the centerpin of what belonging is all about.
Yeah, definitely.
Where did the inspiration come from?
Well, I think people in Cornwall who are from ethnic backgrounds feel very isolated because there's just not many people that look like them that are down here. So I wanted to create a piece that would make people feel less alone within their background and within themselves, and know that there are people out there that are similar to them and that look like them, and that you can see a whole community of a place that is quite not ethnically diverse. So I think it's just good for people to see that they're not alone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely agree. And what's really striking as well is that we go through the entire spectrum, don't we? When we think about people of colour, we instantly go to like people that look like you and I, or people that are like really dark in terms of their pigmentation. But just looking around this, it really does show the diversity of ethnicity.
Definitely.
Right across the board, and I think that's going to be incredibly important when it comes to people looking at this and go, actually, when we think about people of colour, it's not just black people.
Yeah.
You know, we've got people that are really fair and really dark and everything in between. I really love the use of the words that you've framed this canvas of diversity in. What was that process like in terms of kind of coming up with those words, kind of deciding on what would work and what wouldn't? What was that process like?
So I feel like I wanted words that were powerful, not just like, you know, like basic words that you would just hear on a daily, just words that would stand out to people. Mm-hmm. So it's just a whole load of different words that would make us like the black words are obviously the positive ones, and that's us, do you know what I mean? And the red words are how we might feel from other people's opinions. So the words are just shown, it sends a message, I think, a big message to people. And we just wanted words that were not used like on a daily, that might be in your vocabulary. Mm-hmm.
So people might, search it up on Google and think what it means, because some people might not know what it means, and then they'll understand the word.
Are there any words that are really important to you, or anything that really resonates with you?
The word majestic is a good word for me, and powerful. Yeah, definitely those two words. Judged as well, and mistreated.
Yeah, judged was definitely one that struck me, and I think overlooked.
Yeah.
I think, particularly given my own experiences, I have been overlooked because I've been judged, and I think for me those two stood out straight away. But you've got some incredible words here, eloquent, and when we think about how language and literature has almost depicted what a person of colour should be, they've always been negatively associated, like all these negative connotations, worthless, aggressive, angry, violent, dangerous. So I think the way you've counteracted those, you've done the ones that everyone knows, you've covered all the words that people always associate with people of colour, or in most part, but you've framed it in the kind of the very outer that literally holds everything inside, are some of the most incredible words. How do you think this is going to impact the people that come and have a look at the work?
Well, I had one girl that she's quite a younger girl, and she didn't really understand why she looked different to other people. So I think it means a lot to especially younger children who go to school, for example, and they see people that don't look like them. And obviously seeing this just makes them show that there are younger kids that do look like them, and it's nice for them not to feel singled out just because of the way they look. And a big thing for me is all the different types of names that are on there as well.
Yeah.
Because like you've got obviously just the basic names, then all these names, they're just amazing and they're so unique, and it just shows each person individually of how they are.
It's very much a person first approach, and I think that's abundantly clear, the fact that the whole thing is centred around people. And I think what you say in terms of being able to show particularly younger children and people that might not have yet developed that sense of belonging, that actually this is where we live, this is the diversity we have. And I know when we bring our daughter to come and have a look round, I really think this is going to be a massive conversation starter. And I think fundamentally that's all we want, is we want it to reflect and have impact. We want people to feel something. We want them to connect, but I think also it just needs to start a conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall when there's an all-white family kind of just walking past this and having conversations, just to see and hear how they reflect. Because even as a white family, you can look through this and you can resonate with people and it goes to show that race and ethnicity absolutely goes beyond that first visible appearance, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Zig, it's an amazing piece of work, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with next.
Thank you so much.
First and foremost, I've got to say how incredibly proud myself and the rest of the team of Black Voices Cornwall are. You've managed to put together the most incredible demonstration of diversity through arts and culture, and I think it's going to have a massive impact on the rest of Cornwall. So well done, Abby.
Thank
really
you.
Brilliant. What was the process like?
Intense. A very short deadline, but I literally tell everybody about this. But we collaborated with the Arts Council collection, which gave us a list of 8,000 pieces of artwork to go through for our exhibition. And I told them that I only want to use artists that are from the ethnically diverse community. That cut my list down to 400 pieces of artwork to go through from 8,000.
So just to clarify, we've had 8,000 on that initial list, and when you asked for specifically artists from an ethnically diverse background, it took it down to just 400 pieces of work.
Yeah.
So that in itself says a huge amount in terms of what society deems like important, valid, of value.
Yeah.
If they're holding 8,000 pieces in the collection, and we had 400 to choose from. How did that make you feel?
Very undervalued, and not just from my perspective, but from the perspective of all of the artists of colour out there that create such amazing work but don't have that step forward that white people do in the artist world, and that, I guess, that desire to have somebody's work is not seen through artists of colour's work. So I also asked about female artists. That was also a list of about 1,000. So it's a very white dominated male field and collection. So they have said that they are trying to diversify their collection. I don't know the timeline on that, but I hope it's very soon. But yeah, the rest of the process of it was just really, it was really, I don't know what word to use, but I guess it was like humbling in a way, of being able to connect with other artists of colour that call Cornwall their home and are from Cornwall or reside in Cornwall, and to be able to have their pieces of artworks that related to the vision that I created, and to be able to bring it all together and give that one perspective of what we need as a community, or what we look like as a community, or what we want to say as a community. There's so many different perspectives within this one gallery space, which I think makes the exhibition so valuable.
How does it feel having not only put together a fantastic piece of work, but as a black curator in Cornwall, how does that feel?
I don't reckon there's many of us down here. I really don't think there are. But no, it's been a really good experience. I've enjoyed the experience. I found it really quite eye-opening into the different aspects of curating in the artist world and meeting with other artists. But to be a black curator, it's unique, and it shouldn't be a unique thing. There should be so many of us. We should be like overfilling the cup of curators that are in the world. So I would love to just inspire more people to get into curating, but especially more people of colour to get into curating, because there are gaps that need filling, and it's just the galleries have got to be open-minded in who they take on as their curators, and thankfully Newlyn Art Gallery have been open-minded enough to take on Black Voices Cornwall and take on myself to curate this exhibition, which has had really positive reviews so far.
Yeah, and Newlyn Art Gallery are working really hard in terms of diversifying the entire organisation and the culture in which we work. And this is the second installation, isn't it, for you here?
Yeah.
Which is absolutely incredible. Abby, tell us a little bit about this wall behind us.
So this is the last piece of work that people will see as they exit the exhibition. So the question posed is, what will you commit to doing to help end racism? And what we envision is for this wall to just be completely filled by the end of things that people are willing to commit to doing to help end racism in Cornwall. It's this, just as you're seeing it, this is just a week's worth of responses. So to just add on 3-4 more months of how many tags there'll be and commitments there'll be will just be a huge inspiration. It's also not like a contract, but it's like you've got to really commit to doing it. You've got to not forget and not lose it, because so many people just do it and then, or like 2 months later, forget about it, because there's so many things, even just like the Black Lives Matter protests, that are like uproaring for 2 months, and then it's all of a sudden you don't hear anything. So this wall, I want it to be a reminder for people to just keep on committing to doing it, because it's not going to go away on its own.
So what's next for you then, Abby?
Oh, I honestly don't know how to answer that question. I really don't.